go. All right, what's up, guys? Brooks and Carl here to talk about the TSM Echo Fox game from the first day of Week 6 of North American LCS. So going into the draft, we see some very standard bans across the board from both TSM and Echo Fox. We have TSM bans out the Rise, the Gangplank, and the Zac. The Zac specifically sticks out to me. Dardoch has looked absolutely insane on that champion. Uh, really really turning heads with the Zac, looking really strong on it. So good ban from Song and TSM. And then Echo Fox bans out the Skarner, the Azir, and the Zoe. So the mid lane champ pool is kind of pinched here a little bit. Obviously, Zoe, Azir, Rise, pretty standard. Usually go out in the first ban phase, but it's likely that TSM and Echo Fox will take mid laners in their first round, and that's exactly what happens. TSM locks in the Galio for their first pick. Obviously, Bjergsen, one of the OG Galio players, looked really good on it. Has looked good on it. Has been playing it forever as well. And then Echo Fox open up with the Callista and the Sejuani pick. Callista's a little interesting. Obviously, they have a lot of faith in Alltech on this pick because there were no AD carry bans. They could have just as easily picked up the Varus or the Tristana, but clearly they're quite interested in getting Alltech this Callista. So TSM finished out the first half of their draft with two other power picks in the Braum and the Camille. Yeah, pretty standard here. Middies looked great on the Braum. Probably the best support in the game currently. And then Camille.
Uh,
Also, what?
I don't know if I would say Braum is the best support. I think you're just a little biased.
I
You
am.
love
I
Braum.
am a bit biased. He's my favorite champ. And then Camille locked in for Haunter, another probably top tier pick for the top lane. If you don't want to take the Gnar, you're most likely going to take the Camille. And then Echo Fox throw a bit of a curveball, a bit of a flex pick here with their last pick of the first half of the draft with the Vladimir. So obviously this can flex to top lane with Huni. It can also flex to mid lane with Phoenix. We've seen both of them play it, and both of them be very successful. So Carl, how about you take us through the second half of the draft where things get very interesting?
Yeah, things do get very interesting. So the bans themselves for the second half are fairly standard. Shen, who has been getting Shen hasn't really been getting a lot of play here in NA, but he has been very popular elsewhere in like the LCK, and I think maybe a game or two in EU he's been played at support.
Yeah.
TSM then follow up with a Tom Kench ban. Again, fairly standard, very good support right now. You can get your ADC or your backline in general out of pretty much any kind of CC, which is important considering you have Galio, Camille, and Braum, which is a lot of CC. Echo Fox banned the Jarvan and the Tristana. I think these are both good bans considering Tristana is just a or a god tier ADC right now, and J4 is definitely one of Mike Young's best junglers.
Mm-hmm.
So where it gets really interesting is the picks themselves. Ezreal for Sven is a fairly standard pick, but what Echo Fox pick up after that is super interesting, and they pick the Fiora.
Yeah.
Fiora right now is typically seen as a counter to Galio, and so this really picking the Fiora in the mid lane really changes the dynamic as to the type of damage your team is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this kind of later on hurts Echo Fox. And then after this, Mike Young picks up the Kha'Zix,
Mm-hmm.
which in the beginning of the season was a popular champ and then kind of died off because we were going so late and Kha'Zix doesn't really do much in the late game. But yeah, so and the most interesting pick Echo Fox saved for last in the Zillion support.
Yeah. Ugh.
They talked about this. They talked about this on the cast, but Zillion pre-6 is terrible in lane.
He's very bad, yeah.
Atrocious in lane. Unless you land like a god tier double bomb, so bad.
Yeah, I mean, but as kind of in defense of this pick, just in terms of pre-6, obviously Zillion's going to be great in team fights. But when you look at what they're playing against, like Echo Fox's bottom lane in lane is awful.
Yes.
TSM's bottom lane in lane is slightly better, but Ezreal's not like Ezreal's he's much better at team fighting, in my opinion, at least. Braum can do both. That's just my opinion. Braum can do both. Maybe I'm biased, but yeah, I look at these two drafts and TSM got almost everything that they could ever want. The only pick that's a little bit questionable is the Kha'Zix, but yet again, you have Mike Young. He's an aggressive jungler. He's shown up on this Kha'Zix pick before. Maybe not this split, but he's done it in the past. We know he can do it.
He can play Kha'Zix well, and also, like, picking the standard... I mean, Skarner and Zac were already banned.
Yeah.
Right, so
and
you're
then
not going to see him pick that. And J4 was banned.
Yeah.
So, like, those are his, like, top 380. Besides the Sejuani, I mean, those are the top 4 junglers for him.
Yeah.
So, and they haven't really been winning that much on those junglers anyway. So maybe, like, this is where they change it up. It's just, hey, let's get Mike Young on a comfort pick and see what happens. Because, like, they need to start winning some games.
Yeah.
So... I'm okay with the Kha'Zix pick. I think Hanser is definitely one of the best Camille's we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, Bjergsen's Galio is amazing.
The OG Galio player.
Yeah.
And then from Echo Fox, I think that I'm not sold on this whole Fiora as a counter to Galio shit. You know, like... as much as it works in lane, it does not work once team fights get started. That's the way that I've looked at it.
I agree. I mean, yes, you can repost Galio's knock-up and taunt if you time it properly, but Phoenix didn't.
Yeah.
It was
bad.
I mean, we can get back into game.
Yeah.
We can start talking about the game.
Looking at the game... just generally, TSM just played better. I think TSM just played better. Huni was like 1v9. Huni ended up with equal to the same number of kills as the highest kill count on TSM. He had 6 kills.
Yeah.
Bjergsen had 6 kills. Huni was literally the only thing keeping Echo Fox into this game. It was not a short game. It was a 37-minute game.
Well, for this meta,
yeah,
this was like...
I feel like we've been trending a little shorter though in recent.
We have been, but it's like an average to shorter game.
Yeah, so
in this meta,
yeah, but TSM looked pretty clean throughout the whole thing, and I feel like it has a lot to do with generally just the picks of Echo Fox. I think that this draft just did not work out for them. It's very, very difficult to pull off, at least in my opinion.
I mean, he ended the game 6-0-12. He ended the game with a 10-stack Dark Seal. What?
Yeah. So that's... Yeah. And then, let's see the dragon count. Is there a way you can see the dragon?
Yeah. TSM had 2 Mountain Drakes and a Cloud Drake. That Cloud Drake definitely helped them rotate, and like they did take a couple Barons because of that Mountain Drake. Like they were able to rush it down because they had 2 Mountain Drakes, right?
Yeah.
Their team comp besides besides the Kazakhs, their team comp doesn't take Baron that fast.
Hmm.
And so those two Mountain Drakes definitely helped them a lot.
Yeah.
I liked TSM. You can tell in this game, TSM definitely they were communicating a lot better than they have been. Their engages were in sync.
Yeah.
They played a lot more aggressively, and even like there were fights where they would still be low, and they would be like, you know, around half health, 3/4 health. Like they weren't full health, and they would still go in with confidence, knowing that they could win the fight.
Yeah.
And like as a TSM fan, that is refreshing to see.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with putting the primary engage onto Hanser and Bjergsen. These TSM veterans that have
Yeah.
a stronger synergy than anybody else in the team. Because if we look at it, they didn't have any hard engage. Basically, like what they had to do is they had to use Hanser going in with him, with his ultimate and
Yeah.
his hook shot, and then would follow up
then
with Galio from Bjergsen.
Galio, yeah, I was about to say the Camille Galio synergy showed off this
Yeah,
game.
and
Like, it was
I think
amazing.
that's what we need to see out of TSM is Hanser and Bjergsen really carrying the team and then enabling
Mike
Sven
Young
and Mike
Mippy.
Young to play their
Yeah.
game the way that we know that they can play it. And they pretty much just shut down Fox in every aspect of the game.
I think going back to Fox, I think a lot of their issues was from communication. What really sticks out to me is after TSM had just won that fight in like towards the Baron pit in the mid lane, like that fight there. Yes, TSM had already blown all of their ults, but then Phoenix this might not be a communication thing. This just might be Phoenix not thinking, but he was just farming in the mid lane. He saw Camille walking in the mid lane and like heading back towards the TSM's turret, and then he just engages on Camille when he knows full well Galio's there.
Yeah.
And he just like misplays that and dies for no reason.
Yeah.
Like,
It may have been, honestly, I think just looking at the draft and looking at the way that Echo Fox played the game, I think it may have just been a little bit of disrespect. Generally, I mean, these picks are not. I don't know. I feel like this is just very disrespectful. But in defense of Echo Fox, Huni played a fantastic game. Still,
Huni. This was world semifinal or world finalist Huni.
He was full build. He was doing everything that he could to keep Echo Fox in the game.
He ended the game 48 CS over Hanser, and like Hanser was playing well too.
Yeah, his team was just not matching him with what they needed with what he needed the rest of the team to do. So
agreed.
Huni looked great, but TSM won. TSM be the number one team. What's gonna happen next? We don't know. But
find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for this game. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Later.